experience in a professional environment. With access to cutting-edge equipment, you'll learn the latest industry techniques and technologies. Our dedicated faculty, composed of industry professionals, will guide you every step of the way. Showcase your talent and gain valuable feedback from industry experts during our regular events and exhibitions. Our strong industry connections open doors to exciting internships and job opportunities. Join our vibrant community of passionate individuals who are making a difference in the world of media and communication. Enroll at the School of Media and Communication today and embark on a journey that will shape your future. The School of Media and Communication, forming competent media and communication professionals.
All right, and just before the session kicks off, we're being told that for anybody attending the NIFS right here, right now, who applies for the next session of the MSc in film production, they will be given a 5% discount from here. I think that's a round of applause. And over to you, sir, Ikechukwu Obiaya.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. The way we're going to do this, I present a little, and then my colleagues will discuss this. And by the way, thank you for setting us up, Daniel, all that business about high flow and stuff and so on. Okay, well, our topic here is globalizing the Nigerian film industry, overcoming barriers, seizing opportunities. Although Daniel did say this is a different panel, which is not going to be talking about money, that's not true. Everything is money, really. And the thing is that we need to set up the structures for getting that money. I don't know if you saw a little while, well, it's also being on the net, but there's a story about a gentleman in Canada who, this is Olawale Oladakbo, who began making agege bread in Canada, of all places, okay? But then I think it serves really to conceptualize what the focus is here. This is to take a local product to go global scale. That's what globalization is all about. The adaptation of global products and services for local markets, and the reverse, taking the local product to a global scale. And like they say, that word globalization is a combination of globalization and localization. It's the integration of global and local considerations in the way that acknowledges and respects local cultures, traditions, and regulations. In the various conversations that have been held so far today, there has been that aspect of stories. What are we offering? And this really is at the heart of what we have to offer as a nation, our stories. This is why even in spite of the poor quality of the early Nollywood films, they spread across the world because people love the stories. And I think that continues to be so. So the whole process of globalization is to find that balance between the local and global influences to influence growth and recognition. We've done a great job, certainly. The filmmakers have done a great job in placing local content on a global platform. It's enough to watch films like The Wedding Party, for instance, all of that color, all of that gorgeous tradition that we see there, and the appeal. And of course, as was mentioned in the previous panel, love, which appeals to everybody. To really appreciate all of that. There is, however, the importance of maintaining cultural authenticity. And this is where truly the essence of this globalization comes in. Our stories have to remain truly our stories, authentic. The opportunities are there, digitization, the numerous platforms, the need for content, so that is a great opportunity. The question is, how do we feel it? What are we going to do? Are we going to allow someone to dictate to us how we tell our stories, or are we really going to ensure that, yes, our stories go out and remain attractive because we are maintaining that local authenticity? I think that we have going for us also in the terms of opportunity, novelty. The world needs new stories, and I think we do have that here. The strengths that we have, that the industry has, is that we have a large dynamic population of young people eager to get into the creative industries. Technological innovation is also one of our strengths that we have also that growing here in the country. A vibrant culture, over 200 language groups. a market and creative space which is yet to be fully explored. That's a vacuum to be filled. We have also a potentially large audience. We have not tapped fully the audience we have in this country, which has been made obvious by all of the previous panels. However, we do have challenges. The challenge of production quality and stereotypes, the very lack of structure, distribution has been a key focus today. The location of the creative industries in the informal economy is also a challenge because then we have that lack of data, the lack of adequate policies, but more importantly for us in this panel, the lack of education. This is really where we are going to focus, the lack of education for the creative industries. And we see that there is the need to promote the right kind of education. And what kind of education is that? Well, it's one that equips persons with the appropriate skills to meet identified challenges and opportunities. There is a need for a curriculum that will prepare people for work in the creative industries. History is key. How are we going to talk about our authentic culture if we don't know our history? How are we going to be able to portray truly the depths if we don't know what has gone before? Creative and critical thinking is also key. This is one of the things that, well, to blow our trumpet a little bit, one of the things that we try to do a lot of there in the university, to focus very much on critical thinking. Nobody teaches, really, generally, nobody teaches us to think. But it's something that has to be key in any education that is being offered, such that we're able to meet the challenges. We're able to think through and find solutions. There has to be an understanding of the principles behind the techniques, such that we are producing artists and not just artisans, people who are craftsmen. Okay, we're producing artists, not craftspersons. Research skills, we heard that this morning, that there's a need to be able to delve deep into things, to find out. I read a critique, I will not mention the film, but I read a critique of one of the films recently, and the person who wrote, an expert in the field of that particular subject, was very critical because he was able to point out so many things that he said the film had goofed on. But this is the kind of thing that proper research can deal with. And so we do need, as part of the education, to train in research skills. Of course, it goes without saying storytelling skills are also key, as well as legal and business education knowledge. This is something that was passed across this morning. The World Economic Forum, in its report of 2020 on the future of jobs, listed 15 top skills that it said are key for 2025. And if we want to tap into the opportunities that exist and overcome the challenges that we face, we have to be thinking about acquiring these skills. I will just list the skills before I turn to my colleagues here. Analytical thinking and innovation, active learning and learning strategies, complex problem solving, critical thinking and analysis, creativity, originality and initiative, leadership and social influence, technology use, monitoring and control, technology design and programming, resilience, stress tolerance and flexibility, reasoning, problem solving and ideation, emotional intelligence, troubleshooting and user experience, service orientation, systems analysis and evaluation, persuasion and negotiation. And we have to ask the question, how much are we doing in our institutions to pass across these skills? Because if we want to produce people, not just people who will function adequately, but people who will help to overcome the various barriers, the challenges, and to hit the ceiling, which is part of the theme here, well, we need to ensure that people are adequately prepared. And this is the moment really to try to put that in place. Thank you very much. I'll turn to my colleagues now.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. We really enjoyed that. I hope everybody did. My name is Fola Kemi, and I would like to add one or two things. One thing I'd like to reiterate on is, the need to tell our stories, when Juju becomes a brand, more or less, I was talking to a Kenyan, and it was talking about Nollywood being known then for juju stories, and it resonated with them. So in a way, it's our brand, right? Yeah, when it becomes a brand, when we are proud of it, when we push the stories out, but at the same time improving the production values, okay? And we also, need to ramp up capacity building from all fronts, right from the school. My university colleague is here, Sukomi Adebayo. Can you wave, Sukomi? I mean, most of us wanted to study film production, and then we ended up studying theater arts, right? And then after graduation, you start to run around trying to actually learn the art of film. But right from at the Pan-Atlantic University, at the School of Media and Communication, for example, now we have a BSc in film production, and I mean, right from school, you learn to actually make the films. You are pushed to make the films, and you also have internship experience, making films, and you're ready for the industry, okay? Also, retraining, we need to retrain. I mean, especially in the area of story. I mean, our production values have gone up, but what about our stories? What about our stories? There are issues with the stories, and then there's a need to retrain and to begin to critically engage with some of this. I think I would let, I can go on? Okay. Okay, so, yeah, basically that's about it. I think you should go on.
Good afternoon, everybody. A privilege being here today. So let me sound this caveat out. I'm not a film producer, but I would say everybody who watches movies and whatnot sort would claim to be a film critic, right? I have a 9-year-old daughter, and anytime we sit up to then watch a movie, and she begins to point out issues, and these issues stem critically from the stories. And most of the stories we tell have one track. I mean, once the movie starts, you could tell what the end is going to be like, right? And if a 9-year-old has such kind of mindset, then it tells us that we're not doing something right in terms of the kind of stories we tell. I think we've heard about the need to tell authentic stories. I teach creative writing. And the key thing we talk about is, okay, generate stories from just your fictional imagination and whatnot sort. But in Nigeria here, we have stories to share. I am towards that point where I'm advocating that we decentralize kind of on the Lagos issue. So every story you see has one Lagos stuff to talk about, maybe the transportation, this and that and that and that. Can we take a pause on that a bit? Let's look at other ethnic groups in Nigeria. There are fantastic things about them that we can project. In fact, I say this all the time, anywhere I have the opportunity to speak. There is a culture in Nigeria where men and women speak 2 separate languages. But I'm sure most storytellers do not know. But these kinds of stories are things that would really tickle the fancies of the global audience, beyond just our local audience here. If we don't know this, how then do we market our stuff? Every story starts with love, ends with love. A wicked mother-in-law, the husband does this, family problem. Beyond these things, right? There are fantastic stories we can go into, bring out, and it will make you stand out. So if you're here and you're into movies and film and whatnot sort, think about those unique stories you can tell. And this would be perhaps one way to then preserve our culture, and it would then serve as a historical archive, right? So kids can also watch and then learn, even teenagers. So it's not just about thinking about what we want to do, and then we want to look for monies, and we're all chasing the same thing. You could stay in your own cocoon, create your own story by just speaking, reading, researching, traveling to places, observing, seeing what people do, and then tell your own stories. I'm sure everyone who watches any of these stories that has got this cultural base, like the latest one we saw, the Kunle Afolayan's movie, we all liked it. We can remember. Why? Because it is unique in its own sense. It talks about our history, our culture, and our way of life. I think we have so much. We have how many ethnic groups? In fact, there is no country like Nigeria. even the US or the UK or even Canada, it's the same people, right? At best, what you would have is different dialects. But here you have different people come together to then say, we want to leave us one. So we have different languages, different lifestyles. We can tap from these places and then try and make things work for us. So my simple push is, let's think about our stories. Let's project the Nigerianness about us. And let's not just talk about Yoruba culture, Igbo culture, Hausa culture. No, there are so many ethnic groups that we can talk about, and then we can market them so well. You may think there's no audience. There are audience for this, for such a story. And if we don't try, we would never know, because people need these stories out.
Thank you very much. I think we can throw the challenge back at him because he teaches creative writing. So it's for him to teach the people how to write those stories. Well, we just have 2 seconds. 1, 0.
Question?
I don't know if there's time for if we can take any questions. Any question? None. Okay, our time is up
questions?
anyway.
No, but can manage. So no questions.
No
All right,
question.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for your attention.
All right, we might have to start rushing through because we're literally out of time. The next session, we'll be looking at the Nigerian film business overview. And to handle this is Ladu Awubukan of General Manager of Film House. Are you here? Ladu, are you here? All right, please come forward. Thank you. Can we please welcome Ladu with a hand of applause? Thank you. Do you want to say it or do you want to stand?
I'll stand. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope everyone's well. Good afternoon. Nice to see you. Thank you very much for having me. I'll just wait for them to show. Oh, I'm on screen. I expected the presentation. But yeah, I'll wait for them to show the presentation. But I hope everyone's having a good time. Thank you, Joma, for putting this together. It's always a nice time being at NIFS. I have 15 minutes. Okay. Still me. Perfect. Okay, first slide, please. It's a quick presentation. I'm just going through the Nigerian business overview from our lenses. Next slide, please. This is, okay, let me use my phone, I can't see. This is just an overview of the number of cinemas that we have available as at the end of September, broken into Nigeria, Ghana, and Liberia. Obviously, Liberia one is still defunct, so it's not showing right now, but it's a screen, it exists, there's a cinema there. But it's one that Nigeria has obviously grown faster than everyone else, and we're happy and we're loving it. Next slide, please. Sorry, just give me a second. Let me be able to see it from here. Actually, I'll come down. There we go. So, new openings. I just talked about the expansion that we have going on in Nigeria. These are some openings in 2023, and it's quite interesting that there have been openings, even if folks have struggled with admissions. But we've had Royal Road Cinema. I know that we have a representative from Royal Road Cinema here. I saw her today. And then, of course, Zara Cinema in Oka. Is always very nice seeing cinemas opening in the East, because that's a very, very untapped market right now. And, of course, Filmhouse Cinemas IMAX that reopened after the NSAS thing. Yeah, next slide, please. This is a breakdown of box office performance in the past 9 months. And essentially comparing it to 2022's performance. Why is this important? It's just to show how it's growing. Like I said earlier, we struggled with admissions a bit post-COVID, and I feel like everyone is tired of hearing post-COVID, but a lot of businesses are still going through the post-COVID or post-pandemic issues. Box office numbers, of course, are up. Why? Because ticket prices are up. There's a few more cinemas, and the content is getting better, and it's definitely, especially the Hollywood slate is stronger, and there's a lot of Nollywood still coming through the cinemas as well. Ticket prices, as you can see, has gone up 27% as well. That's the cinema market share for the top 4 cinemas, and then the rest of them are independents. A good number of the independents actually has come from Ebony Life, which has had tremendous growth on a year-on-year performance. Next slide, please. This is a review of 2016 to 2022 or 2023, and every time I do this sort of presentation, this is my favorite slide because I feel like it literally shows you the growth of everything. You can see the growth in the number of cinemas. You can see how admissions went up consistently until COVID again. And 2021, we're building back up. We're still maybe at 2016 levels, but it's just not growing at this speed. Well, actually, it's not growing yet, but we're concerned, but everyone is sort of having to make sure that they customize what their offerings are to make sure that you get people to come to the cinemas as well. As you can see, average ticket price has gone up crazily, but that's a reflection of the macroeconomy anyway. Next slide, please. Factors affecting cinema admissions, we talked about that. We know it was an election year, so of course we had a whole month where cinemas were not open, or maybe almost about 2 weeks where cinemas were not open. And of course, the weeks before, the weeks after, it would affect it. We know fuel prices. I think last week's price is not this week's price. God help us. It's true. And then the exchange rate is having the same dance as well. 1,200 yesterday, but last week it was 1,050 to $1, but vibes, we move on. And of course, there's the whole streamer that folks, especially cinema folks, don't like to talk about it and say, no, they're not making an impact, or they are making an impact. But I mean, you can't run away from the fact that these people are here, they're very attractive, and it's very interesting, especially for Nollywood producers that are here to play. And it sort of changes the dynamics of what comes to cinema, or even the window that has now been shortened. Next slide, please. Just a small run-through of the top 5 titles in Nollywood this year and top five titles of Hollywood this year. Again, you would see that, I mean, look at how 2 of the titles that have done the best this year actually spillovers from the previous year. And by all indications, it's going to happen again this year because a lot of the big titles are still waiting for November, December to release, thereby then making it that making a lot of their box office in the other year. But I mean, we've had some really, really good ones. Early this week, even something like Gold, which is from a new producer, also hit the 50 million naira mark, which we're very happy about. It's nice to see language-speaking titles there for Nollywood. It shows you that the market is asking for something, and it's something that we should really focus on. Look at Orisha, 127 million, and Kesari, which is actually a YouTube flick that now decided that they wanted to do a cinema film, and 77 million naira in the cinema. It's a good one, especially when you know you're still going to do streamers. Next slide, please. This is just the divide again. Whilst Nollywood is very popular, whether in skits or online, etc., the cinema audience, there's still a preference to Hollywood titles, and you can see in the what's it called now? In the ratio. If you look at 2020, though, box office, you would see that it was closer. So it was 56% to Nollywood and Hollywood at 43%. But in 2020 was when all the studios were either deciding to go straight to streamers, or a lot of them moved their content to the next year. So obviously, Nollywood had more to play with at that time. And, you know, I think that it also birthed a new market for people in terms of people that love Nollywood titles. Next slide, please. What has affected movie releases in 2023? These are both positive and negative things. Of course, there's an increase in ticket prices. Whilst, I mean, there's a school of thought that says that perhaps people are not as sensitive to the ticket prices because you would expect perhaps the same movement. So if ticket prices have gone up by 50%, maybe the admission should have gone down by 50%. I think that there's a bit of sensitivity there, but I don't think it's as big as, or it's as big as people maybe glorify it to be. I think that it's just the closer substitutes. So are there more concerts? Are there more, are people maybe not in traffic? Because there's not as much traffic anymore. And traffic was one of the things that used to bring people to cinema. People say, okay, instead of me to sleep in cinema, or like, instead of me to sleep in traffic, perhaps I should go watch a movie. So there are other factors that are perhaps affecting it, and it's something that we are going to do exit polling to sort of find these reasons better. Spike in fuel prices as well, which has reduced people's disposable income. Increase in the number of independent cinemas has made sure that people are actually watching Nollywood. So we have more people interested in it, even if people are sometimes bashing it, but at least you went to see it and you're giving constructive critique and saying, oh yeah, you guys need to do better in this, that. Streamer focus on Nollywood, like I said, that has birthed an audience for Nollywood. Now you have people that perhaps wouldn't have gone to the cinema to watch a Nollywood film before, but now because they see it on streamers or they have seen it on streamers, they think, oh yeah, actually this is not actually bad. The quality of this is good, and we've seen a lot of people come in as a result of something that they have seen on Netflix or Prime, etc. And then the release slate remains key. I think that we as filmmakers, film distributors, just need to do a better job in terms of just spacing it around in terms of the films. All the good films will have to come out September to December. Next slide, please. This is our very, MB always gets at me for this slide. This is our very, what do we call it now? What we hope would happen. Because in 2023, at the start of the year, we had said that the box office, or what box office in Nigeria or in West Africa would make would be 8 billion. Some of us are thinking maybe we'll just make over 7 and not quite 8 billion, but I've decided that we're going to be bullish so that we give everyone let's all work for it. So we're targeting 8 billion. I'm not changing it. We're going to do 8 billion in GBO. And don't hold me to it, but we're going to try and do our best and make sure that we do it. That's for 2023 this year. Next slide, please. This is just sort of talking about the prolific nature, different other platforms except cinemas that we work with or are very, very popular. Perhaps people don't really notice. Next slide, please. As for digital distribution. So, I mean, we've talked about cinemas a lot, but everyone knows that from an SVOD point of view, subscription VOD, these are the three major players. There are different ways in which they come into the market. I know that Showmax does a lot of commissioning. Netflix, obviously, they're doing either pay one licensing, films that have gone to cinemas, or they're actually just taking films that are going direct to streamers, or doing non-exclusive library acquisitions or licensing. So yeah, these are different ways that they have come and they've come to play in the market, and just some of the titles that you most likely are familiar with. Next slide, please. This is another one that, this is Pay TV and AVOD, and I just put it together. Pay TV mainly is Africa Magic, and it's very, very popular. We have Slum King here. Absolutely love Slum King. But AVOD, there's one that isn't here in terms of AVOD, and I'll just talk very briefly about it, and it's fast channels. And it's very, very new, well, not very, very new, but fairly new, especially for Nollywood titles in terms of fast channels. It's literally something that I think that we have. I don't know that people have the sort of libraries that Nollywood producers have. I was talking to Shile the other day. If you understand Shile's library, you will not believe it. So this is the only way that we can literally create more legs out of our content, is to look for how to either create OTT or jump on one of these Pluto TVs, etc., for fast channels. I feel like after you've flogged all the windows, that's where you're going to, and that's how to make sure that your investments keep on giving, etc. Next slide, please. Opportunities in the film space. Two things that happened very, very recently. The launch, the Del York and Lagos launch of 100 million Film City. I think that's epic. And then the Edo states. In fact, I actually think it was in NIFS Paris that somebody had mentioned that in Edo State, you get like, I think the government gives you something for free if you shoot a film, or I think location or something for free and stuff like that. So I know that they're very, very key, and it's something that I sort of like to tell filmmakers. Whilst we may not have grants and stuff like that, there are some havens that you can maybe lessen the burden in terms of production. But there are different ways that you can invest or monetize in our ecosystem, whether it's in marketing and PR of films, opening more cinemas, integration of technology. Like we still have issues, whether it's sending the DCPs to the site, how are we looking for a way to do it through the cloud? And we're talking to a few people, and people are doing amazing things and have amazing thoughts. So these are opportunities. And of course, there's always investments in film. Next slide, please. Again, we couldn't have all planned it. Everyone's talking about collaboration. I know that Shirley talked about it, and I imagine the session talked about it as well. It's something that I always speak about. I feel like we would have better quality films if we collaborated. We will have better returns on our investments because all of us can pull from our different resources everywhere. I do not believe in anyone just holding onto your equity for no reason. Just share and be open, and we'll make Nollywood great and universal. I think that's it. Next slide. Oh yeah, who we are. Film One. We are a full media entertainment company. Our production division is Film One Studios. Exclusive theatrical licenses to Walt Disney, Sony, Empire Entertainment, and Warner Brothers. We're here. We're your friends. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so no questions for Lado. Well, that's because there's no time. I'm sure some of you would have had questions. The next will be a panel session. As I said, we'll have to chop because we're late. And I think the moderator, Ijoma, you're the one moderating. IJ. Okay. So this will be a film distribution focus. And guess what? It's having our theme, which is breaking the ceiling. So what breaking the ceiling of local and international distribution barriers for Nigerian films? And the speakers are Moses Baba Takwe, the MD Film One Entertainment. There's James Amata, filmmaker and writer. Then we have Mary Ephraim, he's the CEO of Homeland Films. And then Ijomona, the founder of NEPS, and should be moderating. Can we please clap for them as they take seated? Thank you. And how many minutes? Timekeeper. How many? All right. IJ. All right. So can we also have Chichi from Ibaka TV? No, that's not just Ibaka. Chichi Nwora is not Ibaka. Okay, used to. All right. Chichi, please join us. Yeah. All right. I think Ijoma will stand.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Chinwe. Thank you very much. And so we are going into this distribution focus because, of course, you know, since morning, we're talking about money, and you can't talk about money without talking about distribution. So I was just going to run through everyone, and I'm going to start with Mary. Mary runs a distribution company, so just help us understand what you do. A lot of people do not know that you've done so much already in this industry, so it would be nice to just have a quick introduction of yourself, and then we'll take it from there.
Hello, everyone. Okay, my name is Mary Ephraim Egbaz. My company is Homelands Films, and we've been in the film distribution space for quite a while now, about 12, 13 years or so. But I myself have been in the film business since the inception, or rather since when was it Silverbird started? That was in 2004 or thereabout. And when we had New Metro and the rest. Excuse me. So yeah, so that's in short.
Thank you. Very short and brief. James?
Good evening. Well, my name is James Amuta. I'm a film producer, director, and writer, and also cinematographer. But today, I'm a little bit nervous, I'm going to tell you, because to my left is somebody I respect, Moses Babatobe. But today, I'm going to be speaking about what the pains that independent filmmakers go through in the hands of distributors. So I'm very nervous because some of you will, it's going to be controversial. You're going to attack me. You're going to think James is not being reasonable. But I'm going to say it. That's why I'm shaking. The only person I will exempt small because it's by my right is Moses. But with good reason. Because it's part of my introduction. One of the only person that I feel as a distributor understands the role of a distributor is Moses. And I'll say this, why? Moses called me in for a meeting when I had no noteworthy screen credit. And he believed in one project I was working on. And he immediately said, James, I like this. Let's buy in. Let's support you. But since then, all the other people, it's a racket. Let me stop here.
Thank you.
And then, Moses, over to you.
Moses, I'm not sure if you need introduction, but I don't think so. Okay, so James, thank you for that. Chichi here is the producer of Shantytown. I'm sure you've seen Shantytown. Yeah. That's the brain behind Shantytown. You want to say one
Film One distributed.
Okay, Film One distributed. Yeah, just tell us a bit about your journey also, so that, and then we get into...
Hi, everyone. My name is Chichinwara. I'm Chinenyenwara, but most people call me Chichinwara. Started out with Ibaka TV. That's why she said Ibaka. Mm-hmm. At Ibaka, I was a content manager for years, distributed content before I started to make films. And been making films, then TV movies, then made Shantytown. That was my first big film, distributed by Moses, Film One. Moses, did a fantastic work with the distribution. I also did a new job for Multi-Choice, Slum King. So I'm a producer of Shantytown and Slum King. Yeah, thank you.
Well done, well done. So we're going to jump straight into this conversation, and I hope that we're able to actually look at some of the critical issues that we have in the industry. And I'm starting with James. So I sat in Toronto at TIFF at his movie screening, and that's actually what got me intrigued. Like, you're a producer. Why are you here hustling distribution? Why are you screening your movie? I think you had 2 shows at TIFF, and it was all market screenings. That is quite really unheard of for a producer. And so that's my question to you, James. Why would you take up that responsibility? I believe in the theory of transferable expertise, which means Moses is a distributor. You face your distribution. You are a producer. You don't have a business going to markets, trying to market and promote your projects. But I found him. I sat in the cinema, and we watched this movie. I'm like, wow. So it's something that is very interesting for me. And I would like to understand why you would not go through a distributor and you take it upon yourself to travel all the way to do a market screening by yourself.
Okay, first of all, remember I said that I was going to exempt Moses. Not because he's sitting very close to me and he will punch me. But I'm going to exempt him from these accusations because he's one person that really understands how to distribute films. This particular film you're talking about, like...
Can you tell us about the film?
Black Harvest. Moses saw it at James, what is your plan? Told me he was interested too. But the film is not everybody's cup of tea. Black Harvest is not a distributor's cup of tea. Let's just leave that one. Now you ask me, why did I go to TIFF to do market screenings? So one was Black Harvest, then the other one was a film I shot in Trinidad and Tobago. And I'll answer you this, I'll say this. So when you make a film, especially for theatrical distribution, there are three parties that partake in the gross. So you have the producer, you have the distributor, you have the exhibitor, right? Those three parties. We know what the producer brings to the table. The producer has invested money in making the film, sought financing, everything. The exhibitor don't put money, build cinema. So they've invested in infrastructure. Now what does the distributor bring to the table? I'm not talking about Film One. No, be say anything, but they do understand, they try. But let me go outside of Film One. So what do the distributors bring to the table? A lot of people don't understand the racket that these distributors is a racket. Loads of charlatans. At least Film One, they've invested in infrastructure. They started as exhibitors. They put their money where their mouth is. A lot of these guys, they say, we're distributors. They're hustlers. So they first of all come to you and say, we have to come up with marketing for the film. Bring 5 million, bring 10 million. Now the producer that has produced this film will still pay money. So you're not investing anything. So you charge money to distribute hard drive that Go Kada can distribute. And distribute, what's it called? Standees that they print the cheapest ones. And then after everything, they don't even evaluate the film and tell you what chances you have. Producers have called me and they've been crying, threatening to sue, plenty things, plenty of them. And then at the end of the day, you see the film now makes 50 million or 20 million. And these people will still have the audacity to still participate equally, split 3 places for bringing nothing. And the producer goes home crying. I asked some distributors this evening. I said, the highest grossing film in Nollywood, did the producer go home smiling after the box office? Because everybody tells you, we made 600 million. How much went to the producer? And nobody tells you that the producer is responsible for the marketing. Now you go arrange all your marketing, all your activations, everything. You have no support. Is this distribution? No. They don't even understand how to pick films, how to go out and pick films. I did a market screening. My email, I've been getting emails. One person in this industry, Mountain Man is one film. I still have his letter of intent to distribute from Moses, saying, we believe in this. We will commit resources to this. Let's make this thing. Now me will be producer now. They dilly-dally. Do you understand? So when I exempted him, I know what I'm talking about. The rest, forget it. It's a racket. There's more to say, but let me shut up.
Mary is looking at you where it's like, Mary, you need to respond on behalf of other distributors.
We are
because
distributors,
you've been this.
and we know what we're doing.
Yes.
Tell me what you're bringing to the table.
Mary, please.
No gimmicks.
This is very, very touchy. Please respond to this.
Moses is exempt too, because they bring something to the table. They invest in the films.
I think also, just kind of speaking in a very everybody else is a charlatan, everybody else, I think that's not appropriate. I can understand your pain, you understand, but I don't think you've met me. Neither have you met many other distributors who know what they're doing or know what to do. Now, to speak to what he's saying, I suppose if you want to look at distribution, the job of a distributor is to distribute the film, is to put the film, where the film can make money, all right? So it really depends, and I'm trying to be, but okay, let me just go straight to it. So, as a distributor, yes, you can invest in the film if you think that film is going to give you the kind of returns on investment. And if you also think, like he has mentioned, and Moses, if you believe in the film and the producer, and you have the resources, why not? You should. Now, from what I know and I understand from global distribution, not just distribution in Nigeria, if you go to, say, Hollywood and you want to license a film, the chances are that you would invest in that film. But that's a really mature market, right? Where you will invest in a film. You invest in the film when it's still in production, not even when it's when it's produced. You can invest in a film like 2 years before the film is even, produced. And you will also invest in the marketing of that film. And sometimes you would also invest in the production, depending on the company you're working with. Maybe they will support with marketing, and you will also do your own local marketing. Now, the thing is, in the Nigerian market, we're evolving, all right? And when I say evolving, that's obviously why Film House would be doing what they're doing. If they have the resources, they should. And if other distributors have the resources, they should do that.
Sorry to interject, but I think, what we need to look at here is what's the right thing to do.
So that's where I'm coming to. So it's not just a matter of right thing to do.
Okay.
Do you understand? Because we're talking about money here.
Yes.
All right? When Nollywood started in the cinema, I recall I did one of the first Nollywoods that came out, Something and a Baby. All right? It made 7 million naira then, right? And as a distributor, I didn't make any money because it was by the time the cinemas took what they had to take and everything. But I had the investment of the distribution in respect to I have staffing, I have, I had to distribute the films in the different cinemas. I took on that cost. I didn't transfer the cost
and you
all
didn't
that.
you didn't recoup it back.
We didn't recoup. We didn't recoup anything. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So we do have our own investment, right? Even setting up, even the fact that, so it's pretty much like if you're talking to a consultant, right?
Yeah.
And the person has has been in the industry, has learned the